Oh, sure. Welcome back to this channel. And remember, we have been talking about something very, we've been talking about Christian sex education, and we've been focusing on Joseph's story and how we can adapt Joseph's story to extra lessons for children of all ages. So we've done ages 3 to 8, 6 to 8, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and now today we're talking about ages 9 to 12. How can we adapt Joseph's story to suit the present reality of your 9 to 12 year old? How can your child who is 9, 11, or 9, 10, 11, 12 relate to Joseph in today's world? Remember, I said before that slavery, the same thing Joseph faced, may not be what our own children will face, but at the same time, there is a common denominator is that they will leave, right? So it was slavery that took Joseph out of his home, out of his father's house, out of his monitoring system. But for us today, school will take our children away from our system, our monitoring system, our whatever, you understand? School, um, temporarily, um, permanently, anyhow. So, but one way or the other, whether temporarily or permanently, our children will leave us. And I wrote sometime on my Facebook page that what a joy to know that the child you raised in your absence can actually live according to your values, even in your absence, even out of your monitoring eyes. It's such a joy. And of course, we should have that in mind when we are raising our children. So let's move on. For 9 to 12, we have several lessons that they can adapt to themselves. The first one is a lesson on consent and personal rights. Okay, consent and personal rights. In this situation, Joseph was going to be forced into something that he did not want to do or he did not believe in, and it didn't. The woman didn't care if it was something Joseph. It was mutual. She was going to force him at the end of the whole thing before he ran away. Okay, so one of the lessons there is that your child should learn that, of course, they have the right to say no in any uncomfortable situation at any point in time where they feel uncomfortable. That they have the power and the right to say no. That's what many people don't know. Many children don't even know that they can say no to older people, people in authority. Number two, it's important to respect other people's boundaries. Yes, they have the right for their boundaries to be respected, but that right also comes with the responsibility to respect other people's boundaries. So as you're seeking to be respected, just know that you also must respect other people. They say respect is reciprocal, right? Respect is reciprocal. So while you respect other people, they respect yours, and life just goes on so smoothly. Then walking away is okay. In fact, in this one, I would say fleeing is okay because the Bible says flee fornication, flee youthful lust. Joseph didn't just walk away. Joseph didn't even just run away. Joseph actually fled from the unsafe space, from the unsafe situation. And it is enough reason to actually flee or fly or run away. So beyond saying just walk away, you can say flee. And flee involves so much more than walking away. Because we saw that Joseph didn't just go away. He even left his coat. Okay, he even left. He didn't care. He didn't mind. He actually left his coat. He wasn't thinking. The only thing that was on his mind at that time was to escape. And if it meant him losing his job, losing his coat, losing his shoe, losing his reputation in the sight of his fellow workers, or his boss. It didn't matter. What mattered to him most is that he wanted to preserve his dignity, preserve his integrity, and also keep his honor to God and to himself. So fleeing is so much more than walking away, because at the point of fleeing, you have suspended your thought. You suspend all you want to do at the point of fleeing is to save your life, is to run away, is to save your soul. And it doesn't matter what you lose at the time. And of course, there's a lesson about not being your fault. And this is very, very important, because we have found out that a lot of people, even adults of these days, a lot of adults went through abuse situations that their parents are not aware of and will never be aware of. In fact, the statistics at the time said 80% they will never be aware, their parents were not aware of it at the time it was happening or trying to happen. And their parents will never be aware of it till they die. The same is happening today with the children of nowadays. There are still children who are undergoing, who are in unsafe situations, abusive situations, that they cannot open up their mouths to tell their parents or trusted adults. And one of the reasons is because a lot of adults blame the children for their situation, for the incidents. Most adults blame. So when they come to report, all they get is blame. You caused it. Why were you doing this? Why did you wear that? Where were you? So it makes the person not, if ever they opened up and it happens again, they will not open up again. Now, there are two things that you have to say to somebody who ever opens up case of sexual abuse, whether it's an attempted case or whether it is an review. Do you understand? Well, number one is I believe you, because a lot of times they're not believed. Nobody wants to believe them. Okay. I believe that this is happening. I believe you. You are telling the truth. I trust you. And number two, it's not your fault. Very important. You see, once you tell that person these two things, they feel comfortable to really open up on everything that happened. And in that situation, they are able to get help. How can somebody be helped who has not um, exposed their problem or their challenge? Before somebody can be helped, the person must have exposed their challenge, and then so they can get the right kind of help. Expose everything about the challenge, the extent, and everything. So we are at the point of saying it's not your fault, right? It's an important statement to make to somebody. The person feels comfortable and safe, and then you can find help for the adequate help for the person. So for Joseph, was it his fault? It was not his fault. He was actually going about his duties as a slave, as the chief slave of Potiphar's house, diligently, excellently, like somebody who was on a mission. He never went to the woman. He never carried himself as if he wanted any attention from the predator woman, but he still got it. So that is it. You don't have to do anything. These people are just the way they are. They are just abnormal. Some of them demonic, right? So it doesn't matter what the person does, they will just go after them. You don't have to wear whatever, you don't have to position yourself wherever. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to move in any way. The only crime you committed is to be a human being. And then the predators come after you. Do you understand? So that was Joseph's case. There was nothing that could suggest that he was attracting her. But because it's in her, it's what she wanted to do, that she couldn't handle. She did it. So it was not Joseph's fault. Okay. And that is how a lot of these things happen, even in our present world. It's never the fault of the victim, because the victim, most of the time, didn't have any part to play. Imagine toddlers that are being abused. little babies that are being abused, little girls that are still innocent. What do they know? And how will they ever, start such a thing that they don't know anything about? So it's not their fault. It wasn't Joseph's fault, and today is not their fault. And then the last one under that is God honors right choices. It seemed as though hmm, the choice of Joseph got him into trouble, right? But at the end of the day, we saw that Joseph was um, vindicated. He was vindicated. And when it comes to choices about sexuality, they are very, very strong and important choices of life. Because even though, yes, sin is sin, but you see, the one against your body, I mean, the Bible particularly says that this sin against the body is the most serious kind of sin, because this body is your is your highest worship to God. Is your highest worship to God. Is the vessel that you use on earth. It is your vessel of relevance on earth. So making choices that honor you, honor God, honor your body. God also honors your future, honors your destiny, just as Joseph's future, just as Joseph's destiny was honored. And he ended up being the number two in the whole land of Egypt. There is nothing that would have made Joseph to attain that height, which was his original destiny with God, if he had succumbed to the pressures from Potiphar's wife. Let's talk about power dynamics. It's never okay for somebody who is in high authority or influence to force their subordinates to do something that they are not supposed to do. That was what was playing out in this whole situation. The woman felt that she's the most powerful, she's of higher authority, she's more influential, she has more money and everything, and she wanted to subdue Joseph with that. It's never okay. So, and they must also learn that at every point in time in their lives where they are under authority, once the authority is trying to cross their boundaries or force them to do something that is not aligned with their values, they can't say yes. They can say no. Like Joseph, they can say no and they can also leave the place, no matter what it is. For Joseph, it was his job, it was his source of livelihood, it was his shelter, it was his home, practically, literally speaking. It was his home, it was his source of shelter, it was everything for him, but it wasn't anything compared to the destiny that was attached to the choice he was going to make. So it doesn't matter who is powerful at the moment in their life, as children, as teenagers, as young adults, as eventual adults. At every point in time, we all have somebody in authority over us. But if you find yourself in such a situation where that authority is trying to impose, force you to do something that will dishonor God, dishonor you, then immediately give it up, no matter what it is. Give it up because it's nothing compared to who God has made you to be. So that's the lesson on power dynamics. Because we are in a world where those who feel they are more powerful can subdue those who are less powerful. So that's a lesson that our children must learn at every point in time it's presence of such situation. And then you can actually help that child create a personal rights document and list non-negotiable boundaries. You see, Joseph didn't make his decision on the day Potiphar's wife tried to force him. Joseph's decision was made a very long time ago. It was planned. Decisions about sex, how to react in unsafe situations and tough situations are not made on the spot. They are made ahead of time. So this can be a very good activity for your 9 to 12-year-old. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow.